The story begins in 17th century New England, where a Puritan family of 6 is put on trial because the townspeople accuse the father, William, of speaking badly about God. William disagrees with their beliefs and calls the community fake Christians. Because of this argument, the judges banish William and his family from the town. They start their journey right away, riding in a small carriage to find a new home. As they leave, Thomasin looks back at the village she's known all her life. The family quickly finds a new, small home near the woods and expresses gratitude to the Lord through prayer. They start a farm near the secluded forest, but resources are scarce. As the days pass, Thomasin continues to stay dedicated to her faith, regularly praying and seeking forgiveness for her sins. One day, as she plays peekaboo with Samuel, the youngest child, near the secluded forest, he vanishes suddenly. Fear takes hold of Thomasin as she calls out for him and searches the woods, but Samuel is nowhere to be found. A woman in a red cloak is seen dashing through the forest, carrying Samuel. Shortly after, under the light of the full moon, the witch smashes Samuel's remains and rubs his blood all over her body, completing her dark ritual. Back at home, Samuel's abduction deeply affects the entire family, with Catherine, the mother, being particularly devastated. She spends most of her time crying and grieving. Caleb notices Thomasin having a troubling dream as she twitches in her sleep and wakes her up to console her. They suspect that a wolf is responsible for the baby's disappearance. William and Caleb go into the woods to hunt because their crops won't last the winter. While hunting, Caleb questions if Samuel's soul can reach heaven, but William says it's a mystery. William traded Catherine's silver cup for hunting gear, cautioning Caleb to keep it a secret. While aiming at a rabbit, William misses and injures himself. On the farm, the twins Mercy and Jonas play with a big black goat, which they named Black Phillip. William rushes to the scene, worried about the goat's horns being a danger. He struggles but eventually manages to contain Black Phillip. Catherine becomes upset and lectures the family. She orders Thomasin to gather her father's dirty clothes. Catherine also questions William about his whereabouts during the day. Caleb supports William, explaining they were searching for apples to cheer up Catherine. Catherine expresses her love for Caleb and tells him that his safety is more important. While Thomasin cleans their father's clothes by the river, Caleb arrives and curiously gazes at his sister's body. Thomasin notices his strange behavior but isn't bothered. To cheer Caleb up, she embraces him. They hear rustling in the bushes and stand up to investigate. Mercy startles them by pretending to be a witch and accusing Thomasin of being one too. Thomasin plays along and pretends to be a witch, scaring Mercy. She warns Mercy that she'll eat her if she keeps bothering her. Mercy screams in fear, and Caleb rushes to her aid. That night at dinner, Catherine questions Thomasin about the missing silver cup, suspecting her of involvement. Thomasin denies any wrongdoing. Suddenly, Thomasin hears strange noises and goes out to investigate. She discovers the black rabbit near the sheep's den. The same rabbit that William failed to hunt earlier. Later that night, Catherine confides in William about the silver cup's importance as a backup for their struggling crops. She also mentions Thomasin's transition into womanhood. During their conversation, Catherine and William consider the idea of sending Thomasin to another family, which Thomasin overhears. She breaks into tears after hearing this. In the middle of the night, Caleb sneaks out to tend to his horse, and Thomasin catches him. He tells her he's heading to the forest, and she insists on going with him. Together, they walk into the forest to check a trap and discover a dead animal in it. Their dog, Fowler, starts barking at something, leading them to investigate. The same rabbit reappears, startling their horse. Fowler chases the rabbit, and Caleb follows to catch it for food. Inexperienced with riding, Thomasin falls from the horse and loses consciousness. The family at home grows worried as the siblings don't return, and the setting sun makes the forest more dangerous. Caleb desperately calls for his sister, as he loses his way. He hears Fowler letting out a yelp from a distance, so he follows the sound. He finds their dog dying as his intestines are open as if a bloodthirsty creature attacked it. He runs out of fear that he might end up the same as his dog. Thomasin awakens and is reunited with her father, who is searching for them. She questions her brother's whereabouts, and is astonished that he hasn't returned. Meanwhile, Caleb encounters a small hut and is lured by a beautiful woman who kisses him, but her arm rapidly ages and wrinkles as she grasps him. William brings Thomasin home, and Catherine scolds her angrily for taking Caleb into the woods. William, feeling guilty for Catherine's harsh treatment of Thomasin, reluctantly admits to selling the silver cup and asks for Thomasin's forgiveness, taking the blame for everything. This deeply upsets Catherine, leading to a heated argument in the rain. However, their argument ultimately leads to a reconciliation between Catherine and Thomasin, with Catherine becoming more affectionate toward her daughter. During a stormy night, Thomasin suddenly finds Caleb outside, seriously ill and incoherent. Caleb is then bedridden and unable to move. Concerned about possible evil influences, they conduct a ritual involving drawing blood from Caleb as an offering to God. The next day, the twins communicate with Black Phillip, who claims that Thomasin is filled with wickedness. Mercy and Jonas persist in accusing her of being a witch, and things grow tense. When Thomasin attempts to milk a nanny goat, it produces blood, alarming everyone. Catherine prays over Caleb's body, and William arrives. She hints at witchcraft as the cause, but he dismisses it. He plans to go to the town to find Thomasin a new family, and seek medical help for Caleb. Catherine, overwhelmed by the gravity of their situation, breaks down once more. While gathering the harvested crops, Thomasin hears a scream from inside the house and rushes inside with her family to check on Caleb. They find him chanting prayers, twitching in pain, and shouting random words. Caleb becomes unresponsive and vomits a whole apple with a single bite taken out of it. Catherine believes her son is bewitched, and the twins accuse Thomasin of cursing him. They discuss supposed evidence that points to Thomasin being a witch, but she desperately denies it. The twins convince Catherine, and she keeps her distance from her daughter. To prove she's not a witch, William makes Thomasin kneel and inquire about her faith. They pray together as a family, but suddenly, the twins claim to forget the proper words of their prayer and become unresponsive. When Thomasin instructs them to pray, the twins fall to the floor, twitching in pain. Caleb gasps for air and says, "She desires my blood." Mercy and Jonas say the exact phrase as well. Caleb speaks with a sense of acceptance that he is about to meet God, praying passionately with a smile before passing away. Catherine desperately tries to revive him, but all hope is lost. She has lost another child, leaving her in inconsolable grief. In her sorrow, she lashes out at Thomasin, driving her to run outside in confusion, not understanding what she did wrong. William goes after her to offer solace but soon expresses suspicions about Thomasin being involved in witchcraft. Feeling betrayed and lost with nobody believing her, Thomasin argues with her father and points out his sins. She mentions that the twins might have made a pact with Black Phillip and that Black Phillip is Lucifer. With confusion about who is to blame in the family, William locks his remaining children in the goat house. Thomasin denies being a witch, but when she questions Mercy and Jonas about speaking with Black Phillip, they remain silent. William and Catherine bury Caleb by their house, and she gives him a last embrace. That night, Thomasin overhears William breaking down, confessing to God that he acted out of pride and stubbornness in leading their family away from their village. As Catherine gets ready for bed, she has a vision of Caleb sitting on a chair, holding Samuel. She approaches the ghosts of her children and takes the baby from Caleb's arms to breastfeed him. Meanwhile, the children wake up to find an old naked woman drinking milk from the nanny goat. They watch her closely, but she suddenly turns and attacks the twins, causing all three of them to scream in terror. Catherine continues to feed Samuel in the house, but in reality, a crow is pecking at her chest while she hallucinates seeing her dead children. The next day, she awakens with bloodstains on her dress. Upon waking, William finds the farm in ruins, goats slaughtered, and the twins missing. He's confused, with only Thomasin left. Out of nowhere, Black Phillip charges at him. William grabs an axe to defend himself but then, strangely, drops it as if he no longer wishes to go on. The goat knocks him into a pile of logs, resulting in William's death before Thomasin's eyes. She approaches his father's dead body. Catherine grabs Thomasin by the hair and accuses her of being the devil, blaming her for all the family's tragedies. She accuses Thomasin of trying to seduce William and Caleb and violently beats her, causing Thomasin to defend herself by grabbing a hook. In the struggle, Thomasin accidentally wounds Catherine's forehead, and Catherine strangles her. In desperation, Thomasin uses the hook to fend off Catherine, inadvertently killing her in the process. Despite the pain her mother caused, Thomasin embraces her. She realizes that she's now entirely alone, with no family or friends left. Thomasin musters the courage to enter the house, shedding her blood-stained clothes and taking a moment to process everything. Thomasin follows chiming sounds to the stable and realizes that the black goat, Black Phillip, is a devil who has killed her family. She summons Black Phillip, and it asks her what she desires, suggesting she wants to live happily. Black Phillip transforms into a tall man and instructs Thomasin to remove her clothes and sign her name in a book that appears before her. With Black Phillip, Thomasin heads to the woods, following chanting noises that lead her to a group of witches. They gather around a fire and start levitating. Thomasin begins to laugh wickedly and joins them in their ritual, ascending above the woods. Here a question comes to mind. Why Thomasin was not killed by the devil? The reason is that she had a pure heart. She accepted the devil's offer because her family never truly loved her, and she always felt like an outsider. The story teaches us that everyone has both good and evil sides. If a bad person is treated kindly, they can become better, and a good person mistreated may turn evil. It emphasizes the importance of treating people with kindness. That concludes our horror story for today. We hope you found it enjoyable. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to our channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to show your support. We look forward to seeing you in the next video.